All right, it's the live Panther-Lair Show starting a little bit later than usual, but still starting all the same here on youtube.com/Panther-Lair.com. We pushed it back just a little bit. Started at 9 o'clock tonight as opposed to 8:30. I didn't even check to make sure I have the right microphone plugged in. Let me see. Yes, I believe we do, and I believe you should be able to hear me, so that's good. Push it back a little bit from our normal start time of 8:30 to 9 o'clock to allow your Pitt volleyball team to dispatch with the Louisville Cardinals, Louisville number 7 in the country, and they came in and Pitt just absolutely dominated them. Three-set sweep. Pretty outstanding performance from the Panthers there, and it was actually Jim's suggestion that probably a lot of you will be watching that. And so rather than try to compete with Pitt volleyball, which doesn't go well for anyone really, we just decided we'd let the Panthers finish up, and then we would start when that was done. So 9 o'clock, here it is. They ended just a few minutes ago. The timing could not have been better, and we are now live for this week's Panther-Lair Show. Pitt, like I say, Pitt volleyball sweeps Louisville tonight. An impressive performance. Olivia Babcock with 22 kills and Brooke Mosher with 30 assists. And I think just kind of looking at the stats here to see if there was anything else. I mean, like, obviously there's a lot of stats. I mean, Blair Bayless had 11 digs, and Babcock had 8 digs and 5 blocks along with their 22 kills. They're just, they're really good. They've been really good for a long time, and they are continuing to be really good as they head toward the postseason. It should be another fun one to watch for the Pitt volleyball Panthers. Let's bring Jim in here. Jim, I got my wrong format. There we go. I trust you were watching that match as well. I feel like the thing, Jim, with volleyball this year, I haven't always felt like they had the killer instinct that they've had in previous years. There have been some matches that they've let kind of get away. But tonight, like, you look at it like set by set. I mean, the first set they're down, was it 23-19? And then they score 6 in a row to win the set. I think the second set, they were down 22-20. They score 5 in a row to win the set, and then they won the third set with 4 consecutive points. That's that killer instinct that I think made them so good in years past. They were just able to take over. They really just put there were a bunch of killers out there, and they put their foot on other teams' necks. And I don't think they've always done that this year, but they did it tonight against a top 10 team, a really good team, a conference opponent that they've seen a lot.
Yeah, and I think we talk about it a lot with football. It's like you want to be playing your best ball like at this time of year, and like they looked really good against the number 7 team in the country. And I think with this Pitt volleyball team, it's like they started 0-2, and everyone was like, what the heck? Like, this doesn't happen. Like, this never happens to Pitt volleyball. But like, they've been really good lately. Like, they've had a couple slip ups throughout the year, but like, I don't know, they're 25-4 going into the season finale on Saturday or Sunday, wherever it is. And yeah, like it's just kind of business as usual. Like, they've been so good for so long. I think about like 2017 is kind of whenever this thing kind of started getting going and they started making the tournament. But like, they've been so good, and you just can never doubt them. So like these Pitt Louisville matches are usually great. I think last year, like, or maybe 2 years ago, like it would go like 3-0 Louisville or 2-0 Louisville. Then like Pitt did a reverse sweep twice. Like that was awesome. And like, that's what you expect whenever Pitt Louisville, kind of get together. So for them to sweep them in this fashion, that was very impressive.
Yep. And they still, they, like you say, they have 4 losses this year. None of them were at home. Those first 2 were away from home. The first serve showcase at Nebraska, they lost at Miami, and they lost at Stanford, which, I mean, none of those are bad losses. They're conference losses against good teams, ranked opponents. And now they beat number 7, Louisville with a sweep. They haven't lost a set since the Cal match, which was like 3 matches ago. And then they finish up at Georgia Tech on Saturday. And then it's the postseason. I haven't been following the postseason projections as closely as some of our more tuned in listeners, but this would more or less, let me see, even Josh Newark said it. Pitt volleyball punches a number 1 seed with the sweep. From what you've been able to gather, is that effectively what they accomplished tonight?
It feels that way. And obviously there are others that like probably follow this a little more closely. I know our friend on Blue Sky, James Santelli, is really good with Pitt volleyball. I know like Abby Schnabel with the Post-Gazette really follows it. Don Campbell, like those people are really into it. And I think they would probably all agree with the same thing. It's like, if you win tonight, you win convincingly, you're going to be 25-4, assuming you don't, stub your toe against Georgia Tech. You're going to be 26-4 going into the postseason. And that's probably good enough to get a top 4 seed.
Yep. And I mean, Olivia Babcock, again, legitimately one of the best players in the country, one of the most dominant. There's an ongoing conversation sometimes about, is she one of the best athletes of all time in Pitt history? I don't know. I just think she is one of the most dominant athletes in Pitt history. I mean, just someone who can absolutely take over and does on most nights. And I'm not sure. I think one of the things that makes like Tony Dorsett so great, or made Bill Fralick so great, is and Hugh Green, is that, they were dominant, and they were dominant at a time when their teams were dominant. Like they were a big part of the reason why their teams were dominant. Like Aaron Donald, one of the great athletes of Pitt history, his teams collectively went, 8-5, 6-7, 6-7, 7-6, and that's not his fault, and I certainly wouldn't hold that against him. But like Tony Dorsett won a national championship and was unbelievably dominant. Like Hugh Green and Bill Fralick, their teams were consistently ranked number 1 in the country and won 11-1 every year. And those guys were a big part of the reason why Olivia Babcock has Pitt at the top of the mountain when it comes to volleyball nationally, and she's the one doing it. And that doesn't take away anything from anybody else. I mean, like Rachel Fairbanks last year was incredible. You know what I mean? Brooke Mosher is playing out of her mind. Like, Tori Stafford was great last year. Like, there are other good players, but she is a dominant force. And I'm not sure if there's a great comparison. I mean, like, maybe if DeJuan Blair's team had gotten to the Final Four that year, or, that might be it in terms of a guy who could just absolutely control it. But in terms of dominance, I'm not sure there's anybody like if she's not the top of the mountain for Pitt, she's pretty close.
Yeah, she's special. She really is. Like she's been great since she walked on campus. And like you said, I mean, like Pitt's been so good. Like what she's doing, like she won the equivalent of the Heisman Trophy in volleyball last year, and she's probably going to win it again this year. Like I don't think anyone who does that? Like who does that? Like who is literally the best at their sport 2 years in a row? Like she's that good. And yeah, again, like there's been so many great athletes to play for Pitt, but like to do that's special.
Yep. Absolutely. So we'll see what happens. Like I say, they wrap up the regular season at Georgia Tech on Saturday, and then it's into the postseason for Pitt volleyball. Certainly going to be fun to watch and keep an eye on that. It's been fun to watch and keep an eye on Pitt football here lately, Jim. That game down at Georgia Tech on Saturday, Pitt wins by 2 touchdowns against a ranked opponent, a top 20 opponent. Pat Narduzzi talked about people being shocked. And I don't know if I thought people were shocked or not by, like, I wasn't shocked by that win. And that's not in like, I expect Pitt to win. Like if they'd beaten Notre Dame, I would have been pretty surprised by that. I'll be honest, if they beat Miami on Saturday, I'm going to be kind of surprised by that, because I think that's a really tough matchup. But like Georgia Tech didn't feel like such an extraordinary matchup that it'd be impossible. And what was Georgia Tech favored by 2.5 or something like that? So it's not like they were even favored all that much, even though they were ranked and Pitt wasn't. It wasn't a shock to me. What was a shock is the fact of how they dominated the first 20 minutes of that game. Like, I didn't see that coming. I thought they might win, but I didn't see them dominating. I mean, it was like Georgia Tech wasn't even on the field,
Yeah, I didn't find it that shocking, and like especially with that line, and if that's on a neutral field or if that's in Pittsburgh, like Pitt would have been favored. Like I think that's what they thought about the two teams, and like I kind of felt that way going into the game, and I think we talked about it, going into this big stretch. We talked about this big 3-game stretch: Notre Dame, Georgia Tech, Miami, and we said like, what is the most likely outcome, or like what's the most likely win? I think we both said Georgia Tech. I mean, I think just the matchups favored Pitt. And that was like something I kind of wanted to ask Pat Narduzzi, and I didn't quite know how to phrase it, but I just wanted to be like, you had to feel okay about this matchup, didn't you? Like you had to. Like Canes King's a great player, but like he likes to run 20 times a game, and you guys don't really get beat by quarterbacks that run 20 times a game. So like I kind of wanted to ask him, like, you knew in the back of your head that you guys were going to win this game, or you had something for Haynes King. And like, at least that's how I felt. Like going into this game, like if Georgia Tech was just going to line up and do quarterback dives 10, 15 times a game, sure, go ahead. Like if that's your plan, if you're going to run right into Kyle Lewis and Braylon Lovelace, like Haynes King will get up. He's a tough son of a gun, but like I don't know how many yards he's going to gain. So like I think he had to work for everything he got on Saturday.
Yeah.
I really did, and like he's a great player, and like that was his big moment. That was his big game. Like I was down in Atlanta. The atmosphere was great. That was one of the better road atmospheres I've ever been in. And like the thing with Georgia Tech Stadium is like there's like it's an open press box. So like I was out there. I could feel the crowd, and there was energy. There was energy in that stadium, and like Pitt just sucked the life out of it like almost immediately.
What was louder? Was that louder or was Syracuse louder? Because they all talked about how loud Syracuse was this year.
Syracuse was surprisingly loud because I've been to the Dome whenever it's kind of been dead, and I've also been to Atlanta when it's dead. I think when Pitt played in 2021, I went down there. It was like a sleepy noon game, like ESPN2, blah blah blah, and I don't know. Georgia Tech was pretty loud, and the thing that caught my attention, and I kept saying it to the guy sitting next to me, Stephen Thompson, Nathan Preisinger, and I was like, their fans stuck with it.
Yeah,
like if Pitt was down 28-0 in the biggest game of their season, Acrisure Stadium would have started seeing people leave. Like they were loud and into it and engaged to the very end. And like, even when Pitt was up multiple touchdowns, like they were making noise on third down. They were even making noise on second down. Like it was a big deal to them. Like it was propped up as like one of their biggest home games in recent memory. And like the fans responded. So like, honestly, kudos to the Georgia Tech fans and kudos to Pitt for dealing with it.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, you said it last week, and I keep I've referenced this like a number of times. You're like, look, this year for Georgia Tech is like their 2021 Pitt season, where like you have a chance to really to win a championship, and you know, an ACC championship, and for Georgia Tech, the college football playoff is certainly in play. And so, you know, their fans certainly responded. But yeah, to your point, like if it was 28-14 at halftime, like half the crowd at Pitt, I think would have left. You know what I mean? With the way, even if like, you know, if you flip the script, like a perfect just mirror image, and like Georgia Tech was here and they missed 2 field goals, at the end of the half. And like, it felt like the home team had momentum. I still think Pitt fans probably would have been, checking out at that point, but they didn't check out. Even when, like you said, when it was 28-0, you could still hear the fans on TV. Like I say, I expected Pitt to win, but I didn't expect them to dominate like that, and I kind of knew. I was like, look, you're not going to hold Haynes King down forever. Like he's going to make plays. Cause I kept wondering, like, is this going to be, they even at one point, the sideline reporter was like, oh, he looks shell shocked on the sideline. I was like, damn, is he having like his Sam Hartman 2021 ACC championship game? And I was like, no, because I think he's a better player than Sam Hartman. I don't think he's going to stay down. And he didn't, and he ended up leading them back, and they battled, and he made a crucial mistake at the goal line. That was like Braylon Lovelace's pick 6, Jim. Some people have said like, oh, you think that might be the play of the year. And that sounds like hyperbole, but I'm not sure. That's a 14-point swing in a game that you win by 2 touchdowns. Like I can't rule that out. That's up there. That's like top 3 plays of the season, I would think right now, right? I don't think we're making too much out of that, are we?
No, I mean, how often do you see 100-yard interception return? The last one was 1908. So,
right. But so, in the context of the game and the game that it was and what it meant in that game and how it turned the game. I mean, it could have been a pick 6 from, I was going to say it could have been a pick 6 from the 10 like Rasheem Biles had last week. But no, the fact that it was at the goal line was even more significant in a big game like that. Like the only other thing I could think of as far as a big play this year was Jakarian Turner recovering Mason Heinchel's fumble on that drive at Florida State. That kind of kept their chances of winning alive. But I don't know what else. Like, is there anything else that you would put above? I can't think of anything else I would put above that pick 6.
No, in terms of significance, I can't really think of one. Just because, like you said, it's a 14-point swing. Georgia Tech was absolutely marching in for a touchdown there. I think even Pat Narduzzi said it in the post-game press conference. He was like, they were going in.
Yeah.
Like, that was a great play. And, like, he credited Braylon, obviously. He also credited Randy Bates. He said, like, that was a great call. Like, we did, like, you set up the pressure. Braylon Lovelace lined up at middle linebacker. And not only did he line up at middle linebacker, he was on the line of scrimmage.
He was on the line. Yep.
He was showing blitz the entire way, and Haynes King definitely saw that. But all of a sudden, he drops back, sits in the flat, boom. Like it was just the perfect play. And Braylon made a play, and like that's kind of what Pitt does. That's kind of what Pitt linebackers do. I mean, I posted something last night. The 3 starting linebackers for Pitt in the past 2 seasons. 12 interceptions, 6 touchdowns. That's insane.
Yeah.
That is honestly insane. They have probably scored more touchdowns than some like really bad offenses, like wide receivers. Like that's incredible.
Yeah.
But, like that's what they do. And like all 3 of them are athletic. We've talked about them since they were recruits that are like, yeah, all these guys, like they played offense in high school. They were really good offensive players. Like that's kind of what they look for. And like once Braylon Lovelace like made a play, like boom, he was gone. And it was kind of funny because like in the post-game press conference, it was like the normal media, but like there was like some like weird Georgia Tech staffer in there. And he asked, he's like, oh man, like he kind of looked like Darrell Revis in there. Like he was just like,
I saw that.
He was just like trying to like show off that he knew about Pitt to like Pat Narduzzi. And like Pat Narduzzi corrected him. He's like, no, he didn't look like Darrell Revis because he's a linebacker. Yeah. And like that's what he is. But he also said he also rushed for 6,000 yards in high school. Like that's who he is too. So like Braylon Lovelace is a good player, and it's just kind of representative of what they look for in their linebackers.
And your interception count, does that even include the extra point, the 2-point conversion interception?
It doesn't. It doesn't.
That doesn't officially go in his official stats sheet, but Kyle Lewis still picked off a 2-point conversion at Boston College last year. So like he actually
Brandon George had a touchdown last year.
That's right. Brandon George did.
Yeah. So like Pitt linebackers have literally had 8 scoring plays in the past 2 years.
Yeah.
Not insane.
Well, so Lewis intercepted the 2-point conversion against Boston College, but then he also picked up a blocked extra point at Toledo. He actually scored. That was the play he scored on, right? Yeah. He didn't score on the 2-point conversion against Boston College, right? He just picked that off.
Just picked it off. But like the Toledo game, he stepped over a line, blocked the kick and returned it
and then returned it, right? But so when we talk about like the interception, because we say he had 4 interceptions last year, he actually intercepted 5 passes, but for some reason that one the 2-point conversion doesn't count. Do you know the one other play that might be, in terms of changing the season, one of the biggest plays of the year? The interception against Louisville down on the goal line on the little pass to like Juelz Goff. They got picked off by Louisville. I mean, like, honestly, if you look at like individual plays that had a huge impact on the season, like that one, I mean, I don't know if it was that one play that got Eli Holstein benched, but pretty sure it's pretty high on the list. But but I mean, a good win. And like even the first comment here was from Josh Newark. He says, I thought Mason Heinchel played at a high level against Georgia Tech, and 2 of his touchdown passes were high level. Yeah, he only had 220 yards or something like that. It wasn't his gaudiest stat line, but he completed 20 of 27, which is what, 74% or something like that. 2 touchdowns and no interceptions. Like, that's good. That's a really good game. And he's only had he started 7 games. I think he's only had 2 games without any interceptions, maybe 3. And so, for him to avoid the mistakes, take what was there, get into the end zone when the opportunity presented itself. And really, he kind of threw 3 touchdowns, with the one on Justin Holmes got called back. So he had to throw it again to Justin Holmes. So you could kind of say that, but like, I thought it was a really good game for Heinchel. Like certainly one of the more efficient games he's had, and maybe one of the most like just kind of solid games he's had this season. He made some spectacular plays, took some bad sacks, but I thought he was really good for them in Atlanta on Saturday.
Yeah, he definitely was able, like he was part of like that 28-0 push. Like he was pushing the tempo, spreading the ball around. I don't know if he hit 10 receivers like he did in some of those other games, but like there were so many guys getting involved. Justin Holmes caught a touchdown. Deuce Spann had a great catch across the middle on a 3rd down conversion. Like, you even look just the whole offense in general. Like Juelz Goff scored a touchdown. Like everyone was like kind of touching the ball, and it was like exactly what Cade Bell wants it to be. Like It's not like you can't focus on one person, and we have so many different weapons. We can spread the ball around, but like, I mean, I thought Heinchel stole the show a little bit early, but like it was Boosie Turner. Ja'Kirian Turner, like that was his game, and he looked awesome. And he had so many big runs, like 7 over 10 yards or 14 yards, whatever we were saying. Yep. Like that dude was just so good that game.
Yeah, he was a stud. Malachi Thomas had a huge catch too. Like Malachi Thomas, who has barely played on offense in recent weeks. He didn't play on offense at all at Stanford.
Georgia native.
Georgia native, right? Like he didn't play on offense at all at Stanford. Against Notre Dame, he only got in on the final drive, like the mop-up duty drive with Eli Holstein, and got one target in that game. I think he only had one target, and it was a huge catch, and it was a big catch too. Like he had to go up for it. It was a hard catch to make, and got like 17 yards on it. So lots of guys contributed, lots of guys chipped in, and made some big plays. I thought Kenny Johnson looked really good, particularly early in the game. He was a big part. And Raphael Williams, only 2 catches, but like there were 2 huge catches. They had a chance to kick a 40-yard field goal because of his 2 catches on back-to-back plays on that drive at the end of the half. I mean, just really solid performance. And I think Blue Hicks ended up, he only had a few catches, but I feel like he had something good. Didn't he do something good? Oh, he had the third down catch on the final drive. Right. Which, I mean, like, good job. He ran like this great little like stick route or whatever it was. I kind of gave Mason Heinschel a little more credit on that one just because like great job reading the blitz and finding the and just taking what's there. Like you don't have to do anything crazy. It's 3rd and 4 or whatever it is. 13-yard pass. Absolutely. That's perfect. So no, really good game for the offense. Obviously, I think the defense played well. They did end up giving up some yards and points as the game went on. But I think that was bound to happen. And they still held Georgia Tech under 400 yards. They held them to 4 touchdowns, but 2 of those were on drives of less than 40 yards. I think one possession started at the 38, one started at the 30. So, you kind of take that into consideration, which that one at the 30, I posted about this on the board. Like, that's one of the worst special teams plays I've ever seen. They punt from the 28, right? They punt from the 28. The punt goes 31 yards, which is bad enough as it is. It touches the ground at the Georgia Tech 41, bounces the other way all the way back to before they finally down it at the Pitt 45, and then they get a face mask penalty that pushes it back to the Pitt 30. So it was a net gain of 2 yards. They should have run the fake punt on that play. They would have worked out better. What I mean? I think it was crazy. It was like 4th and 26 or 4th and 29 or something like that. They would have been better off throwing like an 11-yard pass because they got 2 yards out of the punt. And actually, Bill Florian is a super chatter and brings up the kicking game, says, I'm concerned about the kicking game. 2 good teams, lack of a kicking game could be a huge disadvantage, missed field goals, as well as being forced to go on 4th down. I don't know what the solution is there, Jim. Like Sam Carpenter missed that 40-yard kick really bad. And the guy was offsides. Maybe he felt like he was rushing it. It seemed like he even clipped him a little bit. And maybe that's why he missed the 35-yarder. But, 2 more kicks out of bounds. Those 2 missed field goals on makeable distances. I don't think Trey Bukowski is going to be back for this game. I asked Pat Narduzzi on Monday, do you have a timeline? He says no. I don't know what the solution is here. I don't think there's another kicker they can go to. Do they just go for it on 4th down all the time and go for 2 after every touchdown? I mean, what do you do?
Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking like field goal range for Pitt is probably like they need to get to like the 25-yard line to like consider like that. And that's just reality. I mean, you can't feel comfortable sending Sam Carpenter out there with like a 40-some yard field goal after what you saw the other day. And like maybe he has a good week of practice, maybe he gets it all together, but like I don't know. I mean, this is a big game. Like you're going to remember what happened in the last one. So I think Pitt's probably going to have to go for it on 4th down. They're going to have to be a little more aggressive, but like that probably kind of plays into like what they need to do anyway. Like I think they're going to need to come up with those extra plays, something like that to beat Miami. I don't know if they're just going to line up straight up and beat Miami 28-21. Like I think it's going to take a couple little plays. I think it's going to take some 4th downs, some weird things to happen. And part of it is probably like field goals just aren't an option on Saturday. I think that's just kind of where they are.
Yeah, and especially if you are in a 4th and 7 or something like that, and you could either go for it on 4th and 7 or you could kick. Let's say it's at the 25, and so it's like a 43-yard field goal. I mean, like you might have better odds of making the 4th and 7, honestly. Like, and maybe it's 50-50. You might as well try it. I have a 50-50 chance to get 3 points here, or I have a 50-50 chance of extending the drive and maybe getting 7. Might as well go for it. Like your worst outcome from both of those is Miami gets the ball at the 25 or wherever you are. So you might as well go for it. There's just not a good solution there. And the punting game, like you and I have both, I think, taken up for Caleb Junko over this season at least. That he was better last year than he was in 23. He's been okay this year, a bit erratic, a bit inconsistent at times, but like he's just too inconsistent. You know, like he wasn't giving he wasn't giving the coverage team time to get down there. They were short kicks. He wasn't getting enough hang time. And I don't think you could do that this week. Like Miami has too much speed, too much athleticism. Like you can't outkick your coverage this week and put a low line drive kick that gets to the returner before your coverage unit does, because Miami can make you pay for that. Like, and you're not going to go for it on 4th and 8 from your own 32, but I don't know what the solution is. That you're not going to change punters at this point either. But I guess it's just who he is, right? He's just too inconsistent, and he's never really been able to shake that, you know?
No, and I think like his numbers this year, and I'm looking at him right now, like Pitt's 31st in like punting average. Like he averages 4.8 yards per kick, and like it's middle of the road. It's not special, it's not great. And like sometimes, I thought one time on Saturday, like it went out of bounds or went in the end zone. Like he was that close to pinning him at the 1 yard line. It was almost like the most perfect punt Caleb Junko has ever had. But like you're relying on him having the most perfect punt he's ever had in his life. Like he is what he is. Like I think you know that. I mean, like I think at this point of the year, like what Pitt's weaknesses are very well known. Like they can't, pass protect. They can't punt. Like there are certain areas of this team like you're not going to fix in the last game of the year. Like you're carrying that into this game, and like you just have to like figure out ways to get around it.
Yeah, and you got to stop directional kickoffs. Like stop. Just kick it out of the end zone.
Yes.
Just I mean, seriously, like you're not gaining anything, just kick it out of the end zone, kick it as far as you can. Stop trying to point it one way or the other. I mean, I'm assuming they're trying to point it one way or the other. If they're not even trying to go directional with their kickoffs and they're still ending up out of bounds, then you got an even bigger problem. You need somebody else to do kickoffs then, because you can't give Miami and anybody else you play after this, you can't give them possession at the 35. You can't have these extra yardage that you're just giving to the opponent with dumb stuff like that. So I don't know what the solution is there, but it's become a real issue. Whereas special teams field goal kicking was a strength for this team, but Trey Bukowski's unavailable. Michael B is a super chatter, and he's on Talking Hoops here. So we'll take that and switch gears into that for the time being. Says, hi, Chris. Please tell me if Jeff Capel will be bought out after the season if the early trajectory holds. We lost to Quinnipiac. How embarrassing is that? Jeff Capel has been a disaster as a head coach. How embarrassing is losing to Quinnipiac? Jim, is it worse than losing to UMBC? Is it worse than losing to Niagara? Is it worse than losing to Monmouth? Is it worse than losing to Nicholls State? Is it worse than losing to the Citadel? Did I play all the hits there? Did I cover them all? Did I forget one?
You're forgetting my red flash.
Oh, St. Francis, PA.
This is their last season in Division One.
I forgot about that.
I'm taking it hard.
Wait, when I wrote, I like cataloged them all when I wrote after the game, and I think I forgot that one. What did I write? I wrote Niagara, Nicholls State, the Citadel, UMBC, Monmouth, and VCU. I forgot St. Francis, PA. Was that wasn't the game after they beat Florida State in the opener, was it? I think it was Nicholls State.
St. Francis, I believe, was the COVID year. They played 5 non-conference games and they obviously lost one of them.
Yes. Was any other? Anyway, okay. So, it doesn't matter if Quinnipiac was more embarrassing than any of those. I mean, that's a bad loss, and it's an ugly loss, and they're 4-3. And like anybody who says, we always I think we stay down the middle in these things. When Pitt after they lost to Louisville, and on some segment of the message board was saying, well, they'll be lucky to win 4 games. I think we said we don't think that's the case. They'll win whatever. Like we tend to say, we don't fall into that trap of when you lose, it feels like you'll never win again. When you win, it feels like you never lose again. I think we stay out of that. But I can't fault anyone who looks at this team right now and says they might win 3 or fewer ACC games. I get that, because I think we had questions about the talent level of this team before the season even started, and it's somehow, I think, maybe certainly in that Quinnipiac game, and I guess probably you would say in the UCF game as well, in the West Virginia game, it's looked even worse than I expected, and I'm not sure. Like, I think some improvements can be made. I think some improvements will be made, but I don't know how much better they can really get. Maybe not how much better they can get than the Quinnipiac game, but how much better can they get than the UCF game? How much better can they get than the Eastern Michigan game, or one of these other games where they had a slow start? It's tough. It's a tough spot right now.
Yeah, I mean, I in college basketball, you play 31 regular season games. Pitt right now is 3-4. And I think our friend Stephen Thompson tweeted out the other day, according to KenPom.com, Pitt's only favored in 3 of the remaining 24 games. So now the expectation is to go 6-25 according to the metrics. Like,
they're 4-3, Jim. Don't steal a win. They're 4-3.
Okay, so they're
said they were 3-4. They're 4-3. I don't know which win you stole for them. I don't know if it was Youngstown State. I don't know if it was the Longwood Lancers. I don't know if it was Eastern Michigan or if it was Bucknell. You were at Bucknell, Jim, so don't take that win.
You were at Longwood, so maybe I forgot that one.
Yeah. How could you fit it was great. It was an alliteration game. It was the Pitt Panthers against the Longwood Lancers, and Cam Corrin scored. It was beautiful. I love alliteration. Anyway, to your point, what was Steven saying in KenPom? They're favored in like 3 more games the rest of the season?
3 of the final 21 games they are favored in. So they're expected to lose 21 more games. So, like, that's a long season. And it's a long season to have, as we're talking here, the day before Thanksgiving. Like, it feels pretty rough to be speaking in those terms before even December hits, like even before anything happens. Like, right now, I was kind of writing, I've already started the 3-2-1 column, but like I was just saying, like, they don't look prepared to face off against Power 5 competition at all. Not even a little bit. So they have 18 ACC games left and 4 non-conference games against other Power 5 teams, including Friday against Ohio State, which I can't imagine anyone in the world cares about. Like, who's going to go to that game?
Yeah.
There was more people at the volleyball game tonight than that are going to be at that basketball game on Friday.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So
they can't even, like, I think they announced 7,900 for the volleyball game tonight. Like, they've been announcing like 4,700 for the basketball games. And I don't think there's 4,700 there. So even their exaggerated announcement doesn't match what volleyball drew. And it's
not good.
No, it's tough. And like, I don't think so. If you look at where they struggle, where they can improve or how they can improve, like, I don't think they're going to get better offensively. I don't really see much coming out of this team. I don't think they're going to be able to shoot very well. They'll have nights where Cam Corrin goes off. Every now and then you'll get like that good game from Brandon Cummings, or, Noyes will probably have like an 18-point game at some point, or maybe DeMarco Minor or something. But like, you're not going to get consistent scoring. But I think we knew that going in. I don't think we thought this would be a very good offensive team. We joked a lot about how they'd have to win games like 66-62 and all that. But the problem is they're letting teams shoot 60%. Like, forget holding them to 60 points. They're letting teams shoot 60%. I think UCF shot 61 or 62% in the second half of that game. First half of this Quinnipiac game, they shot 68%. That can't be right. I have the paper right here. It is right. 68%. If you're going to suck at offense, you can't let teams shoot 68% from the field. So, like, okay, if you're bad at one thing, you don't have to be bad at both. And I think if there's one that you can sort of choose not to be bad at, it's defense. Like, you might just not be a good shooter, and that's just how it goes. You're not a good shooter, but you can try really hard on defense. And in the end, defense, I think there's a lot that's just effort and energy and trying hard and wanting to. And if you give up 68% shooting to Quinnipiac in a half, you're not trying hard enough. You don't want to. Like, and I'm not like, I mean, the players and the coaches said this after the game too. Like, they did not shy away from the fact that their energy and effort was far below the level of what it needs to be. And this team needs their energy and effort, particularly on defense, to be far above the level of just about anybody else because of how bad they are offensively. So maybe that part can improve. Maybe they can steal a few wins where they just smother teams with defense, but they actually have to freaking try. They have to actually like take it seriously and want to. And I don't see that. I mean, they're in a game against Quinnipiac, and they're basically playing a 6-man rotation. Like, I'm looking at the stat sheet right now. Papa Amadou Conti played 4 minutes. Makari Moore played 7. They had 6 guys play. Well, they had 5 guys play 29 minutes or more. And Omari Witherspoon played 16 and a half. Like, they had to shorten the bench against Quinnipiac. I don't even know what to say. So what was his question? Please tell me if Jeff Capel will be bought out after the season. I don't know. I still, Jim, don't really have the I still have a hard time stomaching the idea of paying people to go away and paying people not to coach and paying buyouts. But I also have a hard time stomaching losses to Quinnipiac,
Yeah, that's how I feel right now. And like, we talk about this team, we talk about this season, and it's like, I think we kind of knew they weren't going to be that good offensively. I think even in the preseason, like, you might even ask Jeff Capel, like, who are the 3-point shooters? He's like, well, we're going to rely on a lot of guys like stepping up and doing things they've never done before. I was like, well, that's not a great plan. Like your plan this year was to be the tough team. Your plan was to be the strong defensive team. And like, I get like Deshaun Jackson's not around, but I can't imagine like a whole lot would change if he was still in the lineup. You're still playing with 2 bigs and 2025 college basketball. Like, you were trying to play dinosaur basketball this year. So I don't know. I'm kind of with you. Like, I don't know if they're going to buy him out after this year. It always comes down to money. That's what college sports is right now. But like, there's not going to be a lot of people at the Peterson Event Center this year. Like, I think I kind of compared this to the second or first Stallings year. It's like, at least then people were mad. People don't care right now. Most people apathy. Don't. Yeah.
Yep. Apathy setting in, and that's the worst thing that can happen. And we say that, as people who operate a message board and a website, the worst thing that can happen is people just stop caring. And you can see it with what people are posting about. There are less comments breaking down the game or breaking down the team, and like a rise in comments of people just saying like, I just don't care. I'm just not interested. And that's a tough spot to be in. One tough spot to be in, of course, is trying to manage your health and fitness goals as you move through the holidays. But fortunately, Chris Gates, our good friend Chris, is back sponsoring the Wednesday live show on the Panther-Lair podcast this week. And if you've listened before, you know that Chris is one of us. He's a lifelong Pitt fan. He's a football season ticket holder since 1997. He's part of the Panther-Lair community. Chris, of course, runs Chris Gates Fitness, where he works as an online fitness coach, helping busy parents and professionals lose weight, build muscle, and get healthier, all in a realistic, sustainable way that actually fits around work, family, and life. He coaches a ton of fellow Pitt fans who've learned how to make progress without giving up the foods they love or the tailgates on Saturdays. And now Chris even offers a coaching option with a weight loss guarantee, so you can move forward with total confidence that your effort will pay off. Right now, he's running a Black Friday sale for the month of November, and Panther-Lair listeners can get 75% off their first month of coaching at chrisgatesfitness.com/coaching. Chris says he's doing this because this time of the year is when most people don't invest in themselves. Everyone's focused on taking care of others and getting through the holidays, but that's exactly why he wants to make it easier for you to start now. By getting in early, you'll learn how to navigate the holidays successfully and head into January way ahead of everyone else who's waiting for the new year. And as a Pitt fan, who knows? You may need help navigating extra tailgates and watch parties the rest of the year, right? Now, Chris has limited spots available. He started this promo off with 10 spots, but he tells me that he's had some of the spots get scooped up already. So those spots are limited. They're going fast. So if you're a Pitt fan, you're ready to make a change, you want a coach who gets what your life actually looks like, head to chrisgatesfitness.com/coaching. That's Chris, CHRIS, Gates, GATES, fitness.com/coaching, and submit your application. Chris will reach out to you directly to talk more about your goals and what type of plan will work best for you. So that's chrisgatesfitness.com/coaching. And the Black Friday sale is 75% off your first month with a weight loss guarantee. All right. More comments and questions here. Josh Newark asked a basketball question a long time ago. Says, have we given up on the basketball team? It seems like it. Is the buyout or Capel's upcoming recruiting class saving him more at this point? like at this exact point, Jim, at 9:40 on Wednesday night, November 26th. I don't think there's no reason to make a firing or make a move in the middle of a season. Like, I don't really know what you like, because like, what are you going to do? Like, promote one of the assistant coaches and as an interim? Like, those guys have all been with him forever. Like, I don't think you make any kind of move or do anything like that. The decision will come after the season when you take full stock of what they've done this year and where the program seems to be going. And that's probably the question Alan Green ultimately has to answer, right? Is where's the program going? Is it headed in the right direction? And I don't know. I don't know what kind of conclusion he'll draw about that. But I mean, do you think the recruiting class becomes a factor, or is it more about what you see on the court this year?
I mean, I'd say it's more about what you see on the court this year, and I would think any motivations to get rid of him or retain him would also be money related. Like, I don't think you can worry about 3 high school recruits. Like, I know they're good. I know it's the 8th recruiting class in the country, but like, I don't know. I mean, like, say if you were to move on from Jeff Capel, like, I think you can point to that Pitt's general manager, Jay Kuntz, probably had a good hand in keeping all those guys. So if you keep the general manager around, then maybe you keep the recruiting class around. So I don't know. I mean, I would think any decision based is probably going to be on, do we want to buy him out? And I think that's going to be a question Alan Green's going to have to ask himself in a couple months.
Yeah. Good luck with that. I mean, that's going to,
it's not cheap.
It's not cheap. And there's a lot of things you can use that kind of money on. Biggest Pimp 12 says the tickets were on StubHub, just dropped like 50%. Everybody go buy them and go to the game. Let's fill the stadium. What do you expect crowd wise, Jim? Tough weekend. Students aren't going to be around. Thanksgiving weekend seems like a lot of tickets still available, but this should be a big crowd game, right? But are the circumstances just going to hurt that?
I think the circumstances will hurt it. I mean, I think you see other schools, and I think the one thing that hurts Pitt on this weekend is that there's not a dedicated rivalry. Like, if you played West Virginia every weekend or every Thanksgiving weekend, like, that's something students would plan around. But like this, like, I know Miami's a big time team. I know they're ranked. I know they're a big time opponent, but like, this isn't going to stop you as a 19-year-old kid going home for Thanksgiving. It just isn't. So like, I think that's going to hurt them. So it'll probably be low 40s. Like, there's going to be empty seats. The upper decks aren't going to look that great, but like, I think the people that are going to be there are going to be really into the game. I think that lower bowl is going to be pretty full. I think whatever students are in Allegheny County are going to try to make an effort to be there, but like, it's just tough. Like, whenever you don't have that dedicated rivalry at the end of the year, like so many other schools have, like, if this was West Virginia, if this was Backyard Brawl Week, it's different. Like, you would sell out the stadium, but like, Miami's great. It's a big time team, but it's not West Virginia.
Well, it's a big time team and it's a big time game. Like,
absolutely,
it's a huge game. Yeah, I mean, if it wasn't Thanksgiving weekend, this exact circumstance was happening the week before, the week after, maybe it'd be a lot of people. I mean, there should be a lot of people for a game like this, but yeah, I think it's just tough. Wolf HD says, how incredible is Olivia Babcock? Thinks she could go down as the greatest Pitt athlete ever if volleyball wins a national championship. I mean, I think she goes on the Mount Rushmore of Pitt athletes if volleyball wins a national championship. You know, because like we just talked about earlier with Tony Dorsett, like his team won a national championship, so he's up there. He's at the top of the list. And I think she goes right up there too. If they win, like, she's already, like we talked about, being one of the most dominant athletes in Pitt athletics history. The one thing she would need to do to truly cement her place is win a national title, right? I think that would, like, I'm not really sure who else you would, other than Tony Dorsett. I don't know who else you would put above her.
I don't either. So, like, I mean, like, what it comes down to for Tony Dorsett, he was the best player on the best team in the country. And like, Olivia Babcock is the best player on one of the best teams in the country. So like you said, it's probably the national title. And I think that's something like that. That's kind of like a monkey that Pitt has to get off its back. Like, in terms of volleyball, like they're that close every year. They're in the Final Four, and eventually you have to break through. You have the best players. So we'll see if that happens. But like, I think that would like really cement her legacy. But like, at a certain point, like she's already made her legacy. Like she's awesome. Like I like she's up there already.
Yep. Yeah. I don't. It's just needing that. You got to get that ring, right? You got to get that championship. Somebody asks. Then this came through when we were before we started, or right when we started. Did volleyball win the ACC championship tonight? I don't think so. Right? Aren't they? They're tied with Stanford,
I believe.
And Stanford would have a head-to-head, right? Or did they split? Stanford didn't play here, did they?
I don't think so. But no. I don't believe
this off the top of my head. No, Stanford didn't play here. So Pitt
volleyball would have tweeted out we won the ACC tonight if they won it.
Right. They didn't. Stanford they're at Louisville. I love this conference. They're at Louisville on Saturday. So actually that's a lot of fun. And so I guess Pitt's chance of winning the ACC would be there. If they could beat Georgia Tech and Stanford loses to Louisville, then that would be it, right? Would that be your understanding too?
Yeah, if they both finish 18-2, Stanford wins it, but yeah, Pitt needs Stanford to lose to Louisville, which obviously can happen. Louisville's number 7, so
yeah, and it's at Louisville, so there's a real chance. Adam Vinchik wants to know: do you think Pitt loses or gains a recruit on National Signing Day next week? It's always possible they could pull some surprises out. Did you see Brian Hamilton, the receiver commit, got a new offer tonight, Jim, from another Jim, Jimmy Franklin, decided to offer Brian Hamilton at Virginia Tech. We'll see what kind of comes out of that offer, and if Brian Hamilton decides to take an official visit there. But it's worth keeping an eye on. I think he's been a guy who's taken some other official visits. I think he went to Colorado, and did he take one other, or maybe he just got another offer or two or something?
I think he got a couple other offers or two, but Pitt has 4 wide receivers in the class, and he's probably number 4 in that group, I would guess. Like it's like Jaden Dunbar's awesome. He's like 6'5", he catches everything. Yeah. Demetrius McCray kind of looks like another Kenny Johnson type player. So I don't know. I mean, Brian Hamilton's one of those Cade Bell recruits. He looks small, he looks undersized. You wonder if this guy's any good, and I'm sure he is. I'm sure he's a playmaker, and I'm sure that's why Colorado and Virginia Tech showed him some love. But he's probably the 4th wide receiver in this class.
Yeah. And I mean, so that could, we'll see. I think that'll probably depend if he takes an official visit to Blacksburg this weekend. I mean, that'll be the thing sort of to keep an eye on. And if he does that, they could lose one there. I think you and I will probably spend a lot of time this weekend just kind of doubling down on the recruits and checking in with everybody and making sure they're all set to go. Because signing day comes up next Wednesday. All of a sudden, season ends, and 4 days later, it's signing day. So it'll be very interesting to see what's going on next week, and we'll keep an eye on those things and keep everybody posted on Panther-Lair.com. H2P Strew says Pitt volleyball is the most consistently entertaining Pittsburgh sport of the last few years. Probably the most successful, right? Who else is? I mean, I guess the Riverhounds just won a championship, so maybe that's your competition. But there's not much else. There's not really many other teams in Pittsburgh that have been as successful as Pitt volleyball. Let's see. I don't know. Kenny Gizmo says, which ACC team does ESPN want in the college football playoff? Last night on the college football playoff show, they said GT won once, Virginia and SMU twice, Pitt 4 times, and Miami 29 times. Oh, they're how many times they talked about them. Oh. I'm guessing that's what he means. I mean, who's the of the teams that legitimately could get there? Who's the biggest brand name? It's Miami, right? That's the one. But Miami needs not just Pitt to lose. Miami needs Virginia and SMU to lose, right? Or at least one of them, I think. Because Miami has a couple losses already in the conference. So they need somebody else to lose, maybe a couple teams to lose. And Miami lost to SMU, didn't they?
Sure did.
So Miami needs some help. Miami has a tougher path there than Pitt does, a tougher path than Virginia and SMU, obviously, and maybe even a tougher path because Georgia Tech's not entirely out of it as well. There are scenarios where Georgia Tech could get in. So that's
well, Miami's path right now is trying to be an at-large team. Like I think
Yeah.
they've kind of already punted on like the ACC's hope right now is that Miami beats Pitt, so they can be an at-large team, and they beat Pitt handily. They want Miami to make a statement and show that they are one of the 12 best teams. Right. Then, whoever wins the ACC, so they can sneak 2 teams in. So I would think that is the ACC's master plan, is to have Miami beat Pitt and have the ACC champion also make the playoff.
Yeah, that would be the
that's the dream in Charlotte, I would imagine.
Yeah. And since Pitt already screwed it up for them once, they might as well go screw it up again. Mark Shilaju says, I've heard through social media that I think he means Ryan Baer, is not walking on senior day. Is that true? And if so, does that mean he'll be back? Well, Ryan Baer,
he's a junior.
Ryan Baer is a redshirt junior. Yeah. I'm not going to name names, but somebody this week when we interviewed Ryan Baer, somebody asked, and this is why you heard it on social media, somebody asked Ryan Baer, what was your favorite memory from Pitt, or as it hit you, this could be your last time? And Ryan was like, well, I still have another year left, so I'm going to come back. And it's understandable. I think we thought on Tuesday, all the players we were interviewing were going to be seniors, being that senior day is coming up. So yeah, Ryan Baer was never going to walk on senior day. He was always planning on being back. And really, they've only had like redshirt juniors walk on senior day if those guys are like retiring, like hanging it up. Not leaving early for the NFL, not going into the portal or anything like that, but just being done. So I think they have 25 seniors on the team. I just kind of tallied all these things up. They have 25 seniors on the team. I think 21 of those 25 are going to walk. I think the 4 who won't will be Cole Gonzalez, Justin Cook, the transfer receiver turned running back, Sincere Lee, and Rashawn Murray. And all those guys I think are going to redshirt this year and come back and play one more year. So the other 21 seniors will walk. Now, giving away a little bit of something that I have on the Morning Pit tomorrow. Out of those, let's say all 25 seniors, Jim, how many were recruited to Pitt, signed with Pitt as scholarship players out of high school, out of the 25 seniors on this year's roster? 25 seniors. I mean, that's a big number. It must be a big number.
13.
3.
Really?
Nate Temple, Rashad Battle, and Javon McIntyre. That's it. Because the only senior on the roster who's been here 3 years is Derek Davis. None of the seniors have been on the roster 4 years. And of guys who've been here 2 years or 1 year, it's all transfers. So 7-year player, Nate Temple, 6-year players, Rashad Battle and Luke Delgaudio. Luke Delgaudio is a walk-on. And 5-year players, Javon McIntyre, Nick Lappy, and Caleb Junko. The rest of their seniors are all transfers. Am I forgetting something? You seem surprised by that. I was surprised by that.
Well, I'm just surprised by the number. It's I don't have like something in my head to like ruin your stats. So like,
but I mean, if you like, even if you just like do a cursory glance over the offense and like, yeah, take the offense, think of who the seniors are. Like Lenny Cooper, Jeff Percy, Raphael Williams, Keith Cuvea, Cole Gonzalez, like we mentioned, Desmond Reed. Like these guys were all transfers. You go over to defense. I mean, like who are the seniors on defense? I mean, McIntyre and Battle, but Tamon Lynham, Kavir Baines-Marquez, Blaine Spires. I mean, I don't have to just like try and do it off the top of my head. I mean, Desmond Reed, Raphael Williams, Jake Overman, Lyndon Cooper, Tamon Lynham, Nile, the long snapper, Deuce Spann, Justin Holmes, Keith Cuvea, Jeff Percy, Blaine Spires, Joey Zielinski, Kavir Baines-Marquez. Like these are all seniors, and it's all transferred. And it's like, there's only 3 that were recruited out of high school, and signed with Pitt as scholarship players. It's crazy. Let's see. Super chatter here. William Schroeder says, got here late tonight. I was curious if the ACC still had the 2 divisions. Would Pitt still be in the same position? Well, we wouldn't know how they would be. We don't know who they would play, right? So if they were still in divisions, don't know what their schedule would look like and that kind of thing. But if they were still in divisions and they had these records, if they were still in the old Coastal, Pitt would be tied with Virginia at 6-1, and they'd be ahead of Miami. Miami is at 5-2. So you'd still be kind of playing for something here. Now, you wouldn't have as much uncertainty about Pitt and Virginia because they would have faced each other head to head, and Virginia would also face Miami head to head. And, some of these things will be, we talked about this last week, Jim. They're like, division should come back just so it's easier for us to understand who is actually ahead and what they need to do. But yes, Pitt would still be in the same spot of competing for, a spot in the ACC championship if they had the divisions.
Shout out to the Coastal. Like, look at the teams.
I know.
Look at the teams left. It's Pitt, Georgia Tech, Miami, Virginia. Like, it's a Coastal party plus SMU. Like,
yes.
Everyone always said it was Atlantic, but it was never the Atlantic. It was Clemson.
Somebody
the
pointed
Atlantic
that out.
division stunk. It was so bad, and the only people that wanted to get rid of the divisions were the teams that couldn't beat Clemson. Probably Syracuse. Like, we need to get rid of these divisions because we lose to Syracuse and Florida State every year. But really, it was Clemson.
Yeah.
That, true division, more competitive football always happened on the Coastal side.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, somebody on the boards pointed that out. They're like, this is great. Like, of the 6 teams that are still in the hunt, 5 are Coastal teams and 1 came from the AAC. Like the Atlantic division is nowhere. And who has the best win percentage in the Atlantic right now in conference games and overall, actually, of old Atlantic teams?
Wake Forest.
Freaking Forest. Wake freaking Forest. I had a little rundown of the hottest teams in the conference. Did you see this when I posted it on the board or
I think so, yeah.
On Twitter? There's 4 teams that over the last 7 games are 6-1. Pitt, Virginia, SMU, and Wake Forest. And Pitt, of course, their one loss in the last 7 games is Notre Dame. Virginia and SMU, their one loss in the last 7 games, they both lost to Wake. Out of nowhere, Wake is 8-3. They're 4-3 in the conference. And who knew? Wake Forest with an undefeated non-conference record this year. How about that? Who did they play? Kennesaw State, Western Carolina, Oregon State, and Delaware. That's the one caveat about Wake being 6-1 over the last 7 is they played Oregon State and Delaware in that stretch. But nevertheless, shout out to the Coastal, man.
They'll probably go to the Mayo Bowl or something and they'll lose, but they'll have that 8-4 record going into it and they'll sell a lot of tickets and feel excited. So good for them.
Well, who do they? They're at Duke this weekend. I mean, they could win 9 games. Duke is 6-5. Duke has,
and they're still in it somehow.
Yes, it's because they've been pretty good. They're what 5-2 in the conference. Who did they lose to outside of the conference? I haven't. Tulane, Illinois, and UConn. That would be the having the ACC champion have a loss to UConn on its a loss to UConn on its record. But who knows? Wake Forest, they can end up at 8-4, 9-3. Hey, 8-4 is good enough. So anyway, to William's question, if the ACC still had divisions, would Pitt still be in the same spot? Yeah, I think they would. All right, let's try and get through this as quick as we can. Oh man, there's a lot of comments and questions here. We've been jibber jabbering away. Let's see. Matthew Spear says, does Pitt have any advantage over Notre Dame in any areas? Ironically, it might be coaching. Assuming we don't run fake punts, special teams may be an issue, but how do we offset the kicking problems? We talked about the kicking problems. You see any areas where you feel like Pitt's got an advantage, Jim?
That's what I talked to one Miami guy and I did a podcast with him and I said, I made the line. I said, Pitt's defense needs to be able to confuse Carson Beck. And he countered with, well, he's a senior. You can't confuse him. I was like, well, I watched him throw 4 interceptions against Louisville, so you can confuse him. So I think you absolutely can do things to him. I think these linebackers are going to make plays on him. I think Pitt's defense is going to throw a lot at him. And it's obviously you just have to respect the Malachi Tonys and the speed and the weapons everywhere. But I think Pitt can probably give something to Carson Beck. I really, truly do. I know he's probably the highest paid football player in college right now, but I think they might have something for it. If Louisville can pick him off 4 times, I think Pitt's defense probably has something for him too.
Well, it's interesting that those 2 games when he had a ton of interceptions. How many against Louisville?
4 interceptions against
four against Louisville, and then he had another game. Oh, the SMU game. He had 2 interceptions in that game. In both of those, neither one of those teams blitzed him all that much, or even had him under pressure all that much. Out of those 6 interceptions, I think 4 or 5 were thrown, according to Pro Football Focus, with a clean pocket. So it's like coverage giving him a problem more than just like trying to rush him. Obviously, you'd prefer to rush him, and it's probably an underrated part of that pick that Haynes King threw at the goal line was Kavir Baines-Marquez blitzing and forcing him to throw sooner than he was ready. So I mean, you always want to get pressure, but I don't know. Like coverage might be valuable. I talked a lot about Malachi Toney today on the morning pit and how dangerous he is out of the slot. He is, and he's runs like 80% of his snaps out of the slot. And I just wonder, if you're Pitt, do you want, as good as their outside linebackers are and as good as their safeties have been, do you want those guys covering him? No. But like the way they're
you don't.
But like that's how Pitt plays.
I know
that's what's going to happen. And like he has had, I went through a bunch of games where like his 3 100-yard games this year, he had like 40 and 50-yard catches against linebackers and safeties in those games where he really opened it up. And like, I just don't know what you do. You're not going to change your defensive structure. I don't think you are, but I think it's going to be a really interesting thing to watch on Saturdays. Do they try to get a corner on him? Now, if it's 2 receivers set and both receivers are on one side of the formation, that's easy, right? You can put your corner over there. But when you have 3 receivers on the field and Tony's in the slot, they're not going to change their personnel. I don't think, because we've seen a true like 4-2-5 nickel defense probably less than 5 times over the last 11 years. They just don't do it. But I don't know. Like Tony's really, really good. So I don't know what do you do? Just get physical with him, try and disrupt his timing that way?
I guess so. I mean, like that's the one thing, like going into like just comparing last week to this week is like, you're probably okay with like Haynes King throwing the ball 35 times a game because like he's not accurate. We saw him miss a lot of like high throws and stuff like that. Like the quarterbacks that beat Pitt are the ones that are just good precision passers. And like, that's what Carson Beck should be. And he should be able to just dump it right off to a dude like Tony on a linebacker and it should work. So I don't know. We'll see. I mean, it was funny. Like, did you see like Pat's comments after the Georgia Tech game, wherever he said something? He's like, "Oh yeah, we did. I think on Thursday, he's like, yeah, we pulled out some stuff from Michigan State."
Yes.
And like whenever like somebody asked him about it on Saturday, he's like, "I was just blowing smoke."
No, you know what? Okay, so he was saying that. So Thursday, that's our Thursday sit down. We're at the we're in the conference room, and I'm sitting there, and I'm I hold my camera like this. This is how I record in case anybody wants to know like how the sausage is made. I hold my camera, like I prop my elbow on the table and just hold my camera, and then it like stabilizes it. My arm would get really tired if I was trying to hold it. And so I'm watching him, and he's talking, and he says that, yeah, we went back and found some old Michigan State stuff. And if he had stopped his comments right there, like it was in my head, I was like gonna say, did you just say that so that Georgia Tech has to go back and look at old Michigan State tape? But then he kept talking, and so I never got a chance to ask it. But that thought absolutely came to mind. Like, they're not taking out old.
They don't change anything. They've never changed anything.
Yeah,
they've run the same defense since 2007.
Yeah, we've been tweaking and doing different things. I mean, yeah, you have, but you haven't. I mean, like it just. I was cracking up about that. All right, Paul Sebastian says if Pitt doesn't go to the ACC championship, does this season seem like a disappointment, especially since the switch to Mason Heinzel? No, not at all. The question, Paul, is not, is it a disappointment if they fail to make it to Charlotte? Because if they go 9, if they win on Saturday, and we all sit around and watch Cal, lose to SMU, and we watch Virginia Tech lose to Virginia, and Pitt gets left out, nobody has anything to feel bad about. That's awesome. The question is the season already a success? Like even if they lose and they go 8-4 and they get to a bowl game and potentially win that to be 9-4, like if they lose to Miami, is the season still a good one? There'll be disappointment about the loss for sure, but is the season still a good season? And I think the answer there is yes. That you were 2-2. You switch the quarterback and you end up going 6-2 the rest of the way. You go 6-2 in conference. I think if you go 6-2 in conference play, Jim, you've had a really good season. And so that is all but guaranteed that they'll go 6-2 or 7-1. Making the ACC championship game to me is not the barometer of whether the season was a success or a disappointment.
Yeah, I mean, I think when you separate it from the 2-2 start to the whatever finish it ends up being, like I think you can differentiate and say, okay, like yeah, like they did something, they accomplished something, they figured something out, they made. I don't even know if they waited too long. Like I don't know. Like there was never an obvious point to switch quarterbacks in the first 4 games. Like it didn't make sense to put in a true freshman whenever you're down in Morgantown on the road, or it didn't make sense to do it in the middle of a Louisville game whenever you were winning by 10 points in the second half. So like they had to like reinvent themselves, and they did. And like if it turns out that the reinvention turned them into 6-2 or 7-1 over those final 8 games, yeah, that's a success to me. Like they'll always have to carry the West Virginia loss with them. That was a terrible loss. West Virginia stinks. They're going to finish 4-8. Even with Eli Holstein at quarterback, they should have won that game. Like that, you will always remember that, but that wouldn't have affected the ACC championship. Like they, like it wouldn't have. Like they would just have one better, win total. But like the Louisville game still would have happened. So I can't. Yeah, there's 2 parts to the season, but like the second half's been really good. Like this has been a lot of fun to watch. It's been entertaining, and I think it gives you a lot of hope for the future because you go into Georgia Tech, you beat the number 16 team in the country, you put up 400 some yards, and almost all of them are done by true freshmen.
Yep. Yeah. Like Alan Olive says, they've had a very good season. They exceeded his expectations, especially after the West Virginia and Louisville games. And it makes you really confident for next year. I think it gives you a lot of optimism and reason for hope just with Mason Heinchel and Jakari and Turner. I think some of the true freshman receivers look good. It's just a question of like, who can they bring back? You know what I mean? Can you, do you keep Kenny Johnson for one more year? Do you get one more year out of Kyle Lewis and or Rasheem Biles? And that's, what does a full healthy Jaden Moore look like? The impact he can have. You have Cruz Brookins back. I mean, there's a chance for next year to be a really good team, and they still this year can they could do something. So it'll be fun. It'll be fun to watch for sure. It'll be fun on Saturday. Of course, we'll be inside the press box, Jim, not outside. It's going to be pretty cold, but look, this is why you drink. Like for cold football games. The first game I ever went to at Heinz Field, I always tell this story, 2002, when they played the Texans, and it was awful. That was the game the Steelers lost, where they only gave up like 42 yards of offense, but they kept fumbling and throwing, Houston kept scoring defensive touchdowns, and it was bitterly cold. It was terrible there. But I walked through the parking lot with a shopping bag full of Miller Lights or Bud Lights or something, and we just drank those and took a flask. And we were like, our seats were in the open end, so on the same side of the field as the press box, the open end, all the way at the end, in like the very last row. So like, however, if there's a spot where you can get the most cold air blowing on you, we were in it. But we had a flask, we had a bunch of Bud Lights, and like, we survived a terrible game in a frigid cold. So people, this is what you need to do. You need to commit. You got to work for the team. All right. That hour flew by, Jim. That was a lot of fun. Thank you for your time tonight. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Have a great Thanksgiving. We'll still have a morning pit for you tomorrow and one on Friday. And then of course we'll have the live post-game show on Saturday night right here at youtube.com/Panther-Lair.com. So like this video and subscribe to youtube.com/Panther-Lair.com so you never miss any of our Pitt video content. Remember, 75% off your first year of the best Pitt coverage, our special promo we have going on right now at Panther-Lair.com. So check that out. And I think that's about it. Enjoy your Thanksgiving. Check out the morning pit tomorrow and Friday, and we will catch up with you for the live post-game show on Saturday after the game. All right here on youtube.com/Panther-Lair.com.